How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Sean and welcome to VEDEM Racing. In the last episode we left the Ford Mustang at the frame shop. Today we're going to go pick it up, assess the damage, and let's see what parts we need to order. Let's head that way, guys. Do you think we'll end up having to buy that rail right there? Or?
I wouldn't doubt it. I was going to say, when they get it tore down and go ahead and get this off, get the course report off of it, and then we'll bring it back and we'll see what we can do with it. You know, we'll need to use that to straighten the back part of it up anyway. Yeah. Even if we do cut it off. You know, it's the crossmember bolts up right here, so you can't. You have to cut it in front of that. You don't want to cut it behind that.
Okay, so you'd want to cut it beforehand so it wouldn't affect all that. See, and actually that's a good thing about it too. I've been looking on Ford's website. Even if you do end up buying one of these Dannies, you can actually buy this whole apron right here from Ford brand new if you really had to and whatnot. So, but the reason I went with the whole hub assembly, I figured the guy was selling it all, and I figured then we wouldn't have any questions if anything else has been on it, you know.
That's
so
exactly what I would have done. I'm a firm believer in that because my theory is anytime it bends a strut, it bends the knuckle. Yeah. The knuckle cast iron, and if it gets hit hard enough to bend that metal in that strut,
it's going to be bending that.
It bends that cast iron in that. And these might be aluminum. I don't know if they're aluminum cast. If they're aluminum, they bend just as easy.
Alright, so the Mustang's back on the trailer, heading on back to the shop. Real quick, I want to give a special thanks out to Danny at AccuTrack. He's one of the most knowledgeable frame guys around the Oklahoma City area, and he also does custom alignments as well. So if you're in this area and you need a frame pulled or if you need alignment, Danny is your guy. I'll go ahead and put his number in the description if you need to call him in as well. He's been doing all of our frame work for over the past years. Even my Honda S2000, I bought it through Copart as well, and he aligned that. And also the Toyota 4Runner I'm in right now is bought through IAI, and he fixed that as well too. So give him a call. He's a real great guy. He'll give you a great deal. Alright, let's get back to the shop and let's get to work. So we got the Mustang back from the frame shop, and what did we find out? So Danny went ahead and checked everything out, and actually it's pretty straight. The line, I mean, it is wadded up on this lower frame rail right here, but it's only, I mean, honestly, it's about from this point forward. So it's not going to affect the drivability of the car because it's not affecting the strut tower or anything else. It's just honestly the main thing that it's going to affect is just alignment of the front impact bar and everything else like the radiator support and whatnot. So Danny actually did do quite a bit of pulling on this car, and he actually got the whole front top rail, he got that all completely straight. Now this lower rail, what we actually were looking for a lower rail right now so we can cut that one out and re-weld it. And if worst case scenario comes, we might just go ahead and just try to work it and pull it out, heat it up, beat it out and whatnot. Another thing we found out was actually the driver's side strut was actually bent, and also the knuckle itself and the two lower control arms were bent. So what I went ahead and did was bought a new strut, new control arms, and a new knuckle for that side. So when that comes in, we'll go ahead and throw that on there, and that way we'll be able to align the vehicle to spec. Honestly, the car looked a lot worse than it actually was. So for the next thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go ahead and just fix this lower rail and really, I mean, start doing all the body work, take it back up there, get it aligned for the most part. But today I'm actually gonna go ahead and start pulling off the rest of this upper radiator support and little few odds and ends so we can get ready to fix that rail. So I went ahead and took off the old front core support, and what I found out actually was the radiator and AC condenser, they're actually in perfect shape. So I mean, that's a good thing. So that's one less expense we're gonna have to spend money on. So I get a closer look at the frame rail, and it is kind of wadded up in that one area, but I'm gonna see if I can find a parts car like at a salvage yard, but I've already called around and I couldn't find any closer Mustangs. So I'm gonna see if I can find one and I say they can ship me that front rail. If not, we might have to try to work that one and see how it works out. But I've already ordered the new bumper bar and things, so we'll have the tools to be able to align it so we can kind of get it straight as much as possible. So the best part of the day is when UPS and FedEx delivers, if it's to the right address, of course. So we got a few new parts in the day. So we got the GT350 Alcantara steering wheel, which will be going on in the next few episodes. Once we get the clock spring in, I'll go ahead and change all that out, the steering wheel and the airbag. Stay tuned for that. Also, we got a new driver's side headlight, and let me tell you, those are expensive, especially even used. So this one actually is in perfect shape, has no broken tabs. We're good to go on that. We also got the new hood hinges in. I figured the other ones were bent just a little bit. We probably could have bent them back into place, but I wanted to make sure that everything was aligned perfect, so that way when we're putting the hood and the fenders, everything lines up, since we're gonna have to work the front impact bar a little bit. So for some reason my time lapse didn't work when I was pulling apart this whole front end piece. One thing we did find out though, so the strut was bent. We're waiting on the strut to come in at the current moment. So let me just show y'all a little bit how much of a difference. So here's this lower control arm. Here's the new one. I'm gonna grab this whole hub assembly. So this is how much of the hub assembly has actually been. It was pretty all bent up in the front, so there's no way we could have got the alignment all together without buying new parts. And honestly, since we're putting all new front end pieces on it, we might as well just put all front end before we get the frame aligned, so we make sure everything is perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and put the new control arms on, and we're still waiting on the strut, but we'll get most of the hub assembly on. And while I was in there as well, I went ahead and saw the brake pads were a little bit low, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap out the front brake pads while we're in there at the same time. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so we got the new control arms and the new hub assembly, the knuckle all connected back to the car. I'm still waiting on the new strut to come in so I can fully connect it all together. I'll probably go ahead and put the new brake rotor back on it, and then I change out the brake pads, and now it's just more of a waiting game for the most part. But everything looks great down there now. Now that it should align pretty well, because video you saw how bent that back control arm is. That's supposed to be completely straight as I compared the new one to the old one. So let's go ahead and get it back all together, and then we'll see what we can do in the meantime. Shop update. So we do have our music right here for when we're out here working. And also we got some new mini fridge. That way we can keep our Jaeger and Red Bull nice and cold for those late nights at the shop. A little tip, whenever you're installing control arms or anything like that, make sure that you tighten to spec whenever the car has a full load of weight on it. If not, it puts extra stress on the bushings themselves if you tighten them up to spec now. So that's why I'm waiting till there's the car is under load, then I will tighten those up to spec. So quick update, I did find a driver's side frame rail, and so I'm going to go ahead and get that cut, and it's going to be sent to us next week, so we'll get started on that when it arrives. That's the main issue with building these cars, is the waiting time. So it's the kind of the point where it's like you want to get started on the build, but sometimes you got to wait on parts. But that's on its route, so I'm not going to work that frame rail, so it's going to be actually built like it should be. And the next thing we're going to do is actually run by the paint shop. I'm going to go ahead and buy paint for the front end of the car. And one thing you need to do, guys, is when you are going to go ahead and buy paint, you don't want to just go off the paint code. You want to actually bring a body piece to compare the paint code when they mix it up, so you make sure it's 100% perfect, because the worst thing to do is to spend all the time painting the car and the paint not match 100%. So go ahead and do that, and guys, we will see y'all at the paint shop. So we went ahead and got a pint of paint. I got a new respirator myself. I went ahead and got some JB Weld plastic bonder. I'm gonna go ahead and try to fix the passenger headlight before I go ahead and buy a new one. We'll see how it works out. Got some blue Permatex. That way when I put the caliper bolts back on, we're not gonna lose a caliper going down the road. Bad experiences. I also got some gasket maker. I'm gonna put it around the headlight as well, the area that I seal up, to make sure that no water gets involved in there too. Just real quick, we'll take a look at the S2000. Back in the shop, and we've pretty much done everything we can today, because really we're just waiting on parts at this point. There's one more thing that I'm going to try to tackle today, is to see why the passenger side brake light is not working. We're going to go ahead and just pull it out. I'm going to test the wires and make sure that we're getting power back to it. If that's the case, it's probably going to be the tail light, so we'll have to buy another tail light. But let's go ahead and check it out, see what the issue is, and we'll go from there. So I did a little bit of troubleshooting. I got the passenger side tail light out. And what I actually did was, the clip was the same on the driver's side, so I pulled the driver's side taillight that I know works. I plugged it into the passenger side, and I used the blinker. And the blinker, brake light, everything works on that side, so it's not a wiring issue, it's a tail light. And sadly, with these tail lights, I know they look cool being LED and sequential, but I'm not exactly sure if I can get these repaired, so I'll probably have to go ahead and buy a new one, which on eBay I found a few used ones in good condition for around $200, so add another $200 to the build. Alright guys, so that's probably going to wrap up the video today. There's not really much else I can do until my parts come in, so it's more of a waiting game at this point. But if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on a future episode. Like the video because that really helps grow the channel. Throw a comment down below, and we will see you guys in the next one.